Well, Light, you've passed every one of my— Kira says what? Yes, well, as I was saying, you've passed every test with flying colors.
Given that I'm completely innocent, that's only to be expected.
That is what Kira would say.
You know, sometimes you talk as though the only way one could convince you they weren't Kira would be by confessing.
You can hardly blame a man in my position for being skeptical by nature. That being said, there is one more test I'd like to administer, and I should warn you ahead of time. It is by far the hardest of all.
I'm no stranger to hard things. That didn't quite come out how I intended, but you get my meaning.
That came out exactly as I intended, and no one could possibly resist such bait.
Very well. The test is as follows. I need you to spell out your last name backwards. This wasn't what I originally had planned for you, but your verbal indiscretion gave me the idea. Kira views himself as a god, and gods cannot abide being mocked. Therefore, I shall goad you into further indiscretions in the same manner, namely, tricking you into stating that you consider yourself a homosexual.
Is this some kind of psychological test? It's quite simple. I-M-A-G-A.
No, say it as a sentence, as though it were a phrase you might utter.
Yes! Everything is proceeding exactly as I have keikaku'd. I mean planned. I don't know why I keep saying keikaku'd. Imagai.
Say it like a phrase with 3 words, the first
This
of which—
again. Elle, have you ever read C.J. Pascoe's book entitled, And Do Excuse the Language? The book was released June 2007. Dude, you're a fag? Masculinity and sexuality in high school?
He must know it's April. How could anyone have read that book?
That's right, Elle! You think I'd let a little thing like causality get in the way of my plans?
I can't say I'm familiar, though we are at the University of Tokyo, so it doesn't seem entirely applicable.
On the contrary, I'd argue that it's very much applicable. You see, in the book, the author notes that joking about homosexuality and being gay is central to the relationships of boys.
What the hell is this conversation? There's also the fact we're both adults.
But consider Eric Berne's theory of transactional analysis, wherein every individual has 3 ego states, that of the parent, the adult, and the child. Under such a framework, it is within the so-called child state where creativity, intuition, spontaneous drive, and enjoyment resides. I would argue that it is from this ego state that the humor of what you intended me to say arises for you.
It's really not that important, Light. We can—
Oh no, please.
I insist. That's right, Elle. I've been reading literature on the grounding of homophobia from the moment I discovered what my name backwards was in English. Allow me to show you the fruits of my research. That pun was not kikaku'd.
After all, within the context of this analysis, it is through the child state that we respond as we did as children.
He must
So,
know.
I think it only makes sense to consider a groundbreaking piece of analysis on homophobia amongst children.
I hardly—
Returning to the book I mentioned, consider her summary. I discovered that, for boys, achieving a masculine identity entails the repeated repudiation of the specter of failed masculinity. Boys lay claim to masculine identities by lobbing homophobic epithets at one another.
Light, you're not even giving me time to talk, let alone internally monologue.
Sounds like a skill issue. Now, you weren't using any homophobic slurs, and yet the context reveals that you believe it to be something shameful, or at least intended to make me feel humiliated.
You're a sassy bitch, aren't you, Light? You're a sassy bitch, aren't you, Light?
Better than being an autistic man-child. Now, I think the reason for this is well argued in the essay by Michael S. Kimmel entitled Masculinity as Homophobia. Doubtless you're familiar.
I'm starting to think this whole meet Kira face-to-face idea was about as well conceived as the names of Beyond Birthday's victims. Well, considering that essay was written in 1997, there is at least the possibility I've read it.
I'm glad you've read at least some essays in your life.
I'm starting to see why you have no close friends.
Kimmel argues that different definitions of masculinity are not equally valued in society, and that one particular brand of masculinity is that which sets the standard for all others.
I'm not technically obliged to be here. I could just leave.
In his words, within the dominant culture, the masculinity that defines white middle-class, early middle-aged, heterosexual men is the masculinity that sets the standards for other men, against which other men are measured, and, more often than not, found wanting.
I mean, the door's right there. I could pretend to get a phone call, then be out of here in a matter of seconds. Light. You've noticed that you're Japanese and that we're in Japan,
The portion
right?
of the essay I believe to be most relevant is the section titled after the name of the essay, wherein Kimmel argues homophobia is the fear that other men will unmask us, emasculate us, and reveal to the world that we do not measure up, and that we are not real men. We fail to live up to the ideal outlined earlier in the piece.
Not that I'm not glad you're comfortable sharing an essay you wrote in junior high, but do you ever get to a point? Or is this conversation akin to trying to find the sharp edge on a balloon?
You had no idea what you were walking into, Elle. Look upon what your little joke has wrought. And despair! Wait, hang on. I'm trying to win him over. Have I messed up? Could my ego have gotten in the way? No. I'm great. I'm perfect. I could never mess up. All is as I have keikaku'd.
Interestingly, in returning to the book from the outset, Pascoe noted that neither the use of the titular slur nor the imitation of exaggerated and stereotypical gay behavior was considered by those using it to be homophobic. Likewise, I doubt you would consider your attempt to goad me into saying the phrase to be indicative of any homophobia.
You sure talk a lot, don't you, Light? I now fully understand why your father has been so eager to work such long hours.
The joke, therefore, was that by tricking me into uttering the phrase, I would be momentarily humiliated because my masculinity would be called into question through failing to live up to the societal ideal. Or perhaps there was more to it. Perhaps you hoped to provoke a reaction that would somehow reveal me to be Kira. Or maybe you simply wanted to test my ability to maintain my cool in the face of mockery.
And with that, not only have I passed his final test, but with that brilliant set of deductions, I've all but assured my invitation to meet the rest of the task force and presented myself as a sophisticated person that Elle will want to befriend. It's only a matter of time before I kill him. I'm a me-damned genius.
Okay, I can't do this. I was going to pretend to be your friend to get close to you for the Kira investigation, but hearing you drone on for hours...
You walked in here about 20 minutes ago.
Or get super cocky because you're kind of good at taking tests.
#1 in the country.
Or acting as though you're a sports superstar because you were all right at tennis.
Good enough to beat you.
Is utterly unbearable. I hate you. And when I say I hate you, I want you to know what that means. I'm Elle, and as such I've encountered serial killers, cannibals, and the worst criminals of every kind. And not one has ignited the fires of hatred I feel for you. Every second looking into your stupid face while you witter on about your idiot achievements or monologue to me about inanity has been agony.
It would seem the attempting to win over Elle's situation has developed not necessarily to my advantage.
Never before have I been tempted to give up a case, but after spending less than a day with you, the urge to jet off to Switzerland and book myself a brief but terminal visit with Dignitas so as to ensure I no longer have to live in a world blighted by your presence is overwhelming. The mere fact I have to continue on, knowing you're out here, would thrill Stephen Law for its undeniable proof that God is both real and that he's the sickest, most evil, most cruel monster to have ever existed. When I say this day has been the worst of my life, I want you to know it's all because of you.
But otherwise, you've had a good time.
Did you know I stopped World War III when I was 8?
But World War III happened shortly before the Winchester mad bombings. Everyone knows
And
that.
here I am in some stupid cafe, listening to a guy lecturing me like, what?
Yeah, this kind of got out of hand.
Your father's had a heart attack. Having met you, I'm amazed it didn't happen sooner.
Are you mad because I didn't say that I was gay?
Shut the f*** up, Light.